I took part in High Tide back in 2014 for a part-to-part visit to Rotterdam, and then I carried on working with them in the summer of 2015 as part of the work experience programme as well. For the part-to-part visit, like I said, we went to Rotterdam and we visited a lot of different businesses on that part as well as the ones on T's part as well. And then in the summer scheme for my work experience, I worked alongside with Huntsman in the lab at Wynyard Business Park and got to make paint and take part in the meetings and stuff. I found out about High Tide through my school at UCA with my year leader, Miss Whitfield, who I wasn't actually supposed to be on the part-to-part visit. It was 3 boys who did engineering, and then one of the places needed to be filled. And instead of picking someone from engineering, they just picked someone who they thought would really love it. And then that's how I ended up on it, and I found out about the rest of it. I think initially the reason that I said yes to the trip was just to be brave, because I'd never done anything like it before, and then the more I found out about it once I agreed, the more exciting it seemed and the more educational it seemed for me. It was something that our school had never offered anything like that before. Before High Tide, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a singer or a teacher or something like that, and now that I know my actual interests, it's totally changed. After I'd been involved with High Tide, that's when I started to realise what I actually was interested in, and my career goals started to shift and change. At first it would be chemistry because of the summer scheme, and then I just realised it was still to do with Teesside, but it was more of a creative goal that I wanted. So I think without High Tide, I would have been totally clueless when I was picking what I wanted to do at university and the steps that I want to take now. I think High Tide definitely benefited me in so many ways, not just in finding my career goals, but also with my personal life, my personality. Ask anyone who I went to school with and I was the quietest person there, so shy, and without the experiences High Tide gave me and the networking chances that they offered to me, I would still probably be totally silent, and now I've got the confidence to try and to explore my interests and to try and hopefully make a career out of it as well. I think without High Tide, I would have either never realised what I wanted to do, or it would have took me a lot longer than this to take the steps that I needed to take. I wouldn't have known what to do. I wouldn't have even had the confidence to apply for anything. I used to look for modules that didn't have any presentations in it. I wouldn't care what the module was as long as I didn't have to speak in front of people. I'd pick that one. And now I'll just completely pick what I'm interested in to find out what I want to do. And now I do kind of have an idea of a career path that I'm trying to follow. I think that's all down to High Tide and what they've given to me. So like I said about being shy before, I'll give a little story about when I was on the part-to-part visit. So you can picture me, I think I was 13, totally silent. I wasn't even supposed to be on the trip. I was just with the engineering guys from school, and Miss Whitfield spoke to the guy playing the piano in the lounge on the ferry, and I was like, they're not gonna let me do that, and I'm too scared to do that. But then it was happening, and she'd asked him and he said yeah, and they gave me a microphone, and that was kind of one of the first times I'd ever sang in front of people, especially without knowing I was going to do it. And I think that's just one of the examples of all of the opportunities that they give you. I know that wasn't part of the itinerary or anything, but just little things like that, and when you're meeting new people. So after the moment that I did sing on the ferry, I think that was maybe one of the first things that pushed me to explore singing a little bit more. It was always something I loved doing, just hidden in my bedroom. I'd write my own songs and I'd teach myself the guitar as much as I could. And that's something, I think without that moment, it might not have ever happened. And even to this day, I write my own songs and play my guitar, but now I also have the confidence to go to open mic nights and try, and I sing at gigs sometimes. I get booked into restaurants to sing, local restaurants like Baker Street Kitchen and things like that. So that's another big part of my life. Not necessarily a career that I want to follow, but a big part of my recreational life that without High Tide I probably wouldn't have that either. I would say to anyone who is thinking about whether or not they should take part in high tide to just do it, because everybody who I've spoken to about it has got something out of it. It might not be what you expect, but you're going to learn something. You're going to gain a skill or a quality, or you're going to learn something about yourself or the industry in Teesside as well. I think it's also so important the variety of businesses that we have in Teesside getting involved with high tide, because there is so much to offer around the area, and I don't think a lot of students know that it's there. So I think just being part of high tide and being an option for these students to speak to makes such a big and positive impact on their lives, like it did for me. I didn't necessarily find a role immediately after taking part in high tide, but the things that I did do have helped me with my life, and I know that it has with everyone who's took part as well. I can't say for certain what my life would be like if it hadn't been for high tide, but I know that high tide has shaped my life into what it is today, and for that I'm grateful.